Russia is very, very pleased with how today went. I immediately went to socials to check Russian social media. And Dmitry Medvedev was once president of Russia, still very chummy with Putin, said...
Yeah, we have this, we have it up, we'll put it up there.
The insolent pig, meaning Volodymyr Zelensky, finally got a proper slap down in the Oval Office. And real Donald Trump is right. The Kiev regime is gambling with World War III. So this bootlicking performance in the White House by our public servants, our top public servants acting like they owned the place. This is what it looked like to me. Two losers on barstools acting like they owned the bar, telling anyone who comes in, you got to go through us first, and you got to give me some flattery first. It was disgusting. This is not diplomacy. This isn't foreign policy. This is thuggery. And I got to tell you, our allies are scared and our enemies are laughing.
It was like maybe when you were 2 years old and you got in trouble for putting your hand in the cookie jar, you know? It's like, oh, you didn't thank your parents enough for raising you. Or, you know, that's how I felt watching it.
It's all about kind of like, are you grateful enough? Are you saying thank you enough?
Yeah.
Do you love me enough? As opposed to it's life and death that we're talking about here.
But I felt like it was completely planned, Abby. I mean, even Trump said, this was great TV, and it's sort of like he let the cat out of the bag. Like, I think that this was staged, planned, because Trump and Vance know they're playing to the American public more than anything else. And if you go on any social media, you're seeing people say, yay, we got America back again, make America great again. And I was asking, how does this make America great again? I mean, this is different than being tough on crime or tough at the border. This is like, okay, I guess we're not going to give $350 million to Ukraine anymore. But what about U.S. security?
Okay, so answer her question. How does this make America great again, Malik?
Well, I think that it was a great press conference. I actually liked what Donald Trump and J.D. Vance did in that moment. I borrow from Lindsey Graham, who is a strong proponent of Ukraine. He's gone over to Ukraine several times. He said that he had a conversation with Zelensky this morning, and he told him, he said, security guarantees, save that conversation for later. It was Zelensky who decided to chime in on the question. I believe it was a reporter who asked it, and then it went downhill from there. Zelensky, I agree with J.D. Vance. Zelensky was disrespectful.
I don't know that that's what really happened, because...
Well, what you saw happened.
What you saw, okay, was more than halfway through a meeting that was not going
like 40
like
minutes.
that until J.D. Vance was the one who chimed in and basically said, you're not grateful enough. Essentially.
Emily, can you control your emotions? I bet you can.
I can.
I bet you can.
But Zelensky can't. And we saw that in the press conference.
He's been fighting for sovereignty for 3 years.
He was being combative.
Zelensky was chiming in about, actually, on a factual question, which is, can you trust Vladimir Putin to actually make good on his promises? Because Zelensky was there when they signed another deal with Putin that Putin did not uphold.
The entire time. This was an unmitigated disaster from a geostrategic perspective. The messages I got from allies across NATO on the way in here, from the think tank community, from D.C., from folks on the ground, was just utter and complete shock. Before he showed up today, there was already a spat previously where, he had said, hey, the president's living in a disinformation bubble. The president punched back and said, you're a dictator and you should have elections. They kind of finally put that aside. So this was already starting to bubble to the surface. Now you throw in the comments that were made today. I don't know that this is recoverable coming back from the other side of this. This is going to cause the Europeans to seriously question leadership at this point. Who is in charge? There's already comments coming about who's in charge of the free world, who's going to take responsibility for security. We have made a significant investment in Ukraine, well over $100 billion, and most of it was in defense spending. It wasn't cash that went over. Right. If that goes to waste, this is going to be seen as a U.S. loss, as a NATO loss, and a huge investment from the American taxpayers is going to be wasted. They have to get past this.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you are Putin, to your point, if you're Putin right now, you're sitting there thinking, they don't really care about Ukraine, so let's just take the whole thing.
Exactly.
I mean, how do you not conclude that after what you just saw there? Trump spent more time saying that he's gone through so many hard times with Putin.
Right.
And that they understand each other because they endured things together. if you're Putin, you're like, okay, why are we even
even have to
playing
lift a
games
finger here.
about a deal? We can just take the thing.
I don't care how Putin feels about this. I care about what happened on that television screen, and it was Zelensky. I do believe that Zelensky should be grateful. And do you know who also thought that Zelensky
he
should be
is.
grateful?
He has said thank you.
You know who also thought it? Joe Biden. You know who also thought it? It was Blinken. This isn't the first time that Zelensky has seemed to kind of shake America down. I remember there was the deal over
Shake
NATO.
America
Well,
down.
but that's what he's doing.
I mean, I
He
understand
has
it's
come
fighting
before
for the
he has
life of
come-
his country.
Well, when you come before the United States of America in the Oval Office, then you need to show
Where there
a
was
certain-
so much decorum today.
Well, they
Please.
responded to him.
Elon
and
was in there the
you
other
come
day in
in-
a baseball
You
cap
come
with
in
his
there
kid
being
running around.
disrespectful, and you're going to find out the
Disrespectful,
response
please.
to it.
Listen,
That's what he
the other
was.
thing
He was
that-
being
the other thing,
disrespectful,
though, that-
and J.D. Vance was right to call him out on it.
The other thing that I really thought a lot about as I was watching it is that there's a language barrier here. I mean, English is not Zelensky's first language, and suddenly he's in the middle of this dogfight with two people where English is their first language, and he does
did
not.
pretty well.
He did pretty
Yeah.
well, but I mean, he's trying to interpret all of this in a second or third or fourth language to him, and to me, I felt like he's going to miss out on the phrases and the nuances. I mean, try having an argument in a language that's not your first
On
language.
the world stage.
Yeah.
Well, to Gretchen's point, and to your point, Alex, I actually don't think they got over the battle of words earlier. When Trump said, when Zelensky said he's living in a disinformation bubble, I don't think Trump got over that. I think that's what today was about, his personal ego. But there was a moment during this craziness where J.D. Vance made a policy point. He said, where has all the tough talk and the sanctions and the freezing out gotten us? Let's try talking to our adversary. Now, that's not a foreign policy that I agree with, but that is a serious, substantive, very interesting point to make. If that's where the administration came from and was organized and not chaotic and not personal and not out for vengeance and performing for cameras and licking Putin's boots, that's an argument you could make.
Yes.
I wouldn't buy it, but it would be serious. That got lost, of course it did, in the craziness and the personal, vengeance.
No, but to your point, so the word costume, he said today, like, where's your suit? Costume would be the literal translation as they're going back on it and that. And to the point, where has it gotten us? The only reason Putin is at the table is because they are out of men. They're seriously decimated in terms of hardware. He doesn't want to see a mobilization in Moscow and St. Petersburg because it's his political base. And so he's buying time to be able to try to get some sort of negotiation. Even if they freeze the front lines right now, there's still going to be economic and information warfare that will continue.